My name is Crystal. I grew up in southern Ohio. I'm the oldest of 7 children. I guess growing up, life was a little bit difficult for me. Like I always felt really different and inadequate. My stepfather and my mother got legally separated when I was 8. My grandparents have always played a really big part in my life. I was the firstborn grandchild. When I got 14, I was a freshman in high school. My mom ended up passing away. We found out that she had cancer. So that's kind of when I would say my life took the big turn. I don't know. I just remember the day that of my mother's funeral. I remember smoking my first joint. And I guess I just liked how it made me feel. Kind of just numbed everything and kind of just took it all away. At that time, in the beginning it was fun and it was, everybody was doing it. So I did a lot of it to fit in the beginning, and then I didn't realize how much of an impact it was going to have. I didn't realize it was going to have such a hold over me. After that, in 2010, I ended up catching some felonies due to my heroin use. So after about 1.5 years of that, I relapsed. And this is when it got really bad. They always say every time you go back out and use, it gets worse, and that is the truth. So when I relapsed that time, my life changed dramatically. Things that I never thought I would do, I did. Lost every moral value. It all went out the window. At this time is when Backpage started becoming a part of my life, and just seeing married men and things like that, things that I'd have never dreamed of that I would do. And it was and after the fact that it would happen, it really made me just feel so much worse about myself that I would just go use again, and then I would just it's a repeated cycle every day. At the time it was the easiest way to make money, and that's kind of really the option that I had, and I wasn't ready to quit, so that's what I did. I remember when I was ready for this, I was slowly coming. I could feel myself just getting tired and tireder over the time. And it was February of 2013, I ended up getting arrested again. A guy that I was seeing at the time had been involved in some burglaries of houses, and I was at the place when they all got caught. So I was charged as well. And I remember I went to jail for 11 days, and there, I'm feel I don't want to get out and do this again, but I don't know what to do either at the same time. So I get out, I go to my sister's house. My relationship with my family during this time was no good at all. I didn't communicate with them because I didn't want them judging how I was being or anything. I didn't want them having, they're not addicts. They're not, they didn't do this kind of stuff. So I didn't really communicate with them. There'd be days, weeks, months that go by and they wouldn't even hear from me. We're in the same town, and they would call, and I wouldn't answer the phone just out of guilt as well and shame. So that was a big issue. So when I get out of jail that time, I go to stay with my sister, and I end up a week later after getting out of jail, I ended up having to have gallbladder surgery. And I wasn't honest with the hospital. I didn't tell them that I was an opiate addict. I didn't tell them, anything of that nature. Of course, they give me pain medicine, and I get out and I'm back on my way again. Same thing, I went back to my 1-2. I went back to doing what I knew how to do best. At this time, I was staying somewhere. All the electricity was turned off. No running water. It got really bad. And I remember I had gotten indicted on my last charges, and I went to court, and the judge told me, Crystal, if you can go and drop clean for 2 straight weeks, it's called color code, like, I'm not going to send you to prison. And, my addiction was just too big at that time. I couldn't do it. I went every day. I went to drop every day for that 2 weeks, but it was dirty every day. When I remember, so I kind of knew I was going to prison, but I remember on June 9th of 2013, I got off work and I went to a trick's house, kind of where I was staying, because I really didn't have nowhere to stay. I was staying everywhere at the time, wherever I could. So I went there to wash my clothes, and I ended up staying the night there. But I remember when I woke up, I had money in my pocket and everything, and when I woke up, June 10th, like, I don't know, like, the desire in me was different. I knew eventually, like, I was going to prison. I didn't know when. I didn't know maybe, hopefully she had a change of heart and wouldn't send me, but I knew something had to change. So when I woke up on June 10th, I kind of just left that house I was at, like, packed a couple bags of things that I had, didn't know where I was going, didn't know what I was going to do. I remember walking to the 6th Street Park in Canton and just sitting there, and I can say for like the first time in, pretty much since I was a young child, like, praying. Just that, like, didn't kind of know who I was praying to, didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know, but I was talking to somebody that I knew that had some kind of greater power than I had that could do something. At this time I was just so broken and so, like, I guess I felt used up and just disgusting, and I knew that something had to change. So I remember going to that park and sitting on them bleachers and just crying and just praying. And I hadn't talked to my sister since I left her house when I relapsed. And out of the blue, she gives me a call, and of course she can tell that I've been crying, and so she was like, "Where are you? I'm gonna come get you." And I didn't really know how to respond to that, but I let her come get me, and I knew I had court in a couple days, and I knew I just didn't want to live like this no more. So I went to her house for them a couple of days, and I was sick a little bit from heroin, and I remember waking up on June 12th, it's when I had court, and usually I wouldn't go to court. Usually I would run, whatever I had to do not to go, face my consequences. And I went, and the judge told me that she was sending me to prison. At that time, like, all these emotions were hitting me, and I was sober, and I didn't know how to cope with them. So pretty much I cried, like that was my easy escape. So I ended up that day, which was June 12th, 2013. I went to Stark County Jail, and on June 20th I left to go to Marysville. I was at Marysville for 4 months, and then I did my remaining of my 18 months at Northeast in Cleveland. And like, people say, like, you can't, like, when you're in jail or institution or something like that, like, you don't learn things that you can use on the outs, and you don't, like, that sobriety time doesn't count, and, and I totally am against that. I do not agree with that. If it wouldn't have been for that, and I know that was God answering my prayers, sending me there, I don't know where I would be. I know that I learned there, what recovery was about. I was able to grow a relationship with God. It was kind of my time out. It was like my big girl time out. After I left there, I was transported to CBCF in Akron. And I have to say there, like, is where I was scared to come to Akron. I didn't know anybody here. I didn't know. I was scared. When I was there, I was able to, like, build a plan of, exactly what I wanted to do with just my life. What did I want to do when I got out? I didn't know how to be an adult. I didn't know how to handle responsibilities. I didn't know how to pay bills. And you know, prison taught me like who I was as a person. Like I just could like rediscover myself. But I didn't know how to be an adult. And you know, there was like where I really got involved with the community, and it started like just venturing out. You know, there like doing community service at rehab, and meeting the wonderful ladies that are there. You know, and like a lot of them are still part of my life today. You know, like all my friends here are in recovery, and just, you know, of course everything's not easy today. Of course there's still struggle, and there's just like, I mean, hard times, you know, but, you know, like for the most part, you know, I can handle those.
Explain your long-term goals.
I was actually talking with my mentor last night about this. Kind of just like, I don't really know. I do know I want to go back to school. And I know I want to work with the community somehow. I just don't know what yet. So I'm kind of teeter-tottering in the fence.
What do you think the community needs to know about the life?
Okay. I would say what the community needs to know is that just because a person may be a certain way for however long they're that way doesn't mean they can't change. And as far as, you know, just the young women and stuff in the life, you know, you're not different. Reach out, ask for help. There's others like you. I know, like, when you're in that moment, you feel like you're all alone and you're the only person that's ever been through this. But, you know, for me, like, being in that position before and where I'm at today, I know there's a difference. I know there's many people that's been through that, and you're not alone, you know. It is a struggle and it's hard, but, you know, it's something that can be overcame, and just... Forget me not.